I have a couple slides I was going to show you, but we don't have that luxury, so I'll have to just share information with you guys as we go. And we live in an age where it shouldn't be too difficult for me to give you this information, which is, all right. As a matter of fact, it works, so perfect. So I'm going to talk to you guys about a couple of projects that I'm involved with. I like for these to be very interactive because, first of all, I'm really honored to be here, and this is my second year speaking to the group. And I have to admit, I've learned more from being at these meetings than pretty much anywhere else. Because you guys are really the future of entrepreneurship and business development. And I've learned some things over the last 10 years or so that you guys might take from. And I can tell you a little bit about my background, but I won't go too far into it. But I went to school here locally. I went to Jesuit High School. Graduated, got a basketball scholarship to UNC Charlotte, where I realized I wasn't as good at basketball as I thought. My roommate, my old roommate, stopped in. He's 7'2", and so I took a picture. That's one that I had for you guys. I'll share. But I'm 6'2", and he dwarfs me. But he was a starter. I was on the bench watching him play as a freshman. I ended up going to Paris. I got my degree in economics in a joint program between the Sorbonne, which is a French university, and the American University. And I started working for a consulting firm, Capgemini. I was a subsidiary of Ernst & Young, and then moved into consulting full-time in the U.S. I worked for a company called Navigant, which was a competitor to then, PwC, Ernst & Young, even Anderson was around back then before they got in a bit of trouble. I don't know if anybody remembers that or knows what was going on there. But I got a pretty broad level business education, and it allowed me to learn some skills that I could take on into being an entrepreneur, which is a very, very daunting task or daunting mission, is entrepreneurship. Because you have to kind of create your own systems and processes, and you have to create a certain amount of accountability that you don't have to worry about when you're working for a bigger firm, because you have a managing director who tells you exactly what to do and gives you the steps. So there's a lot of unknowns associated with entrepreneurship. What I'm going to talk to you guys about today is a little bit about how we've been able to mitigate some of the risks that comes with entrepreneurship. And a lot of that is through collaboration and open sharing of information. So what I'm going to invite you guys to, if you want to give me your emails at the end, I'm going to set up a hangout for whoever wants to participate with my new partners in Brazil. And we're going to be talking about, and they'll answer some questions about how we're going to take a concept of a brew pub and develop it into a craft beer industry, sub-industry in Brazil. And I'll go into some detail on how we're going to do that. But it stems from my experience with World of Beer. I was the first franchisee for World of Beer. I watched the concept grow from 1 to now 53 units. I've owned bars in this market, in Denver, in Houston, and we're continuing to expand that portfolio around the country. Now, I can't tell you that hasn't come with some perils, because it has. There have been some very, and we're constantly changing our image to adapt to the market. And we've had some initial success with World of Beer, and then we got to a period where we sort of plateaued. And I think it was because we got so big that we started started losing our entrepreneurial edge. And I just went to our last national franchise conference, and Paul Avery, who was the former COO of Outback Steakhouse, Inc., who has now acquired World of Beer, talked about some of the very things that I'm gonna tell you about, and how he's learning from our generation in terms of how you can get information to people faster through the use of iPads, through the use of shared drives and the cloud computing. Not something that you would necessarily associate with the craft beer movement, right? But the bottom line is, if you're not moving in the direction of technology, you're going to get left behind. So whether it's creating applications that can understand how many beers you've had and share that information with your friends, inviting them to come to the bar, giving you discounts based on geofencing and geolocations. And if any of this is very foreign to you, please ask any questions, because you probably know more about some of these tactics than I do, because you guys grew up with cellular phones. I didn't. I didn't get my first cell phone till, and I'm checking I'm just looking at the group, it looks like most of you are at least 10 years younger than I am. So I'm assuming that you had more exposure to technology early. My son he's on his iPad constantly. I mean, he can go through, email people. He's 5 years old. So it's a bit frightening. But using some of these applications, I think it's going to give us an edge. What I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about is another application that I developed that is still growing, that we think is going to have tremendous impact in the food and beverage industry. And that's a startup that I started about 2.5 years ago called BuzzMe. And what BuzzMe allows you to do is to buy a friend a drink or an appetizer at any location and have it instantly redeemable and recognizable. We've built a network of just about 5,000 people, but the way we've done it is we've built it through Facebook, so we get all of the information about about the users, which some people have different thoughts about in terms of their own privacy settings, which we certainly respect. But if you're willing to give us information, we might be willing to buy you a drink, and we might be willing to give you a discount. So what we found with that program is we've developed a very healthy database of bar goers, bartenders, because the back end of our system allows for an administrative component for our retail partners to go in, customize menus in real time, push menus out to the app users, push discounts and promotions into their hands. So in essence, what we did was we gave every bar owner, every small bar owner, the ability to have his own mobile app. And that's the concept that we're developing right now. I've gone quite a bit. I want to take maybe some questions, get some interaction going. Is any of this interesting? Is there anything you guys want to maybe dig into a little bit? And I'll kind of throw it out. Just some backgrounds and where you guys are from. It'll help me customize to get you the best information for the time.
I'm an accounting major. I'm a senior. I'm looking to graduate within the next year. I'm part of an organization, an officer in the organization.
Anybody else? Any backgrounds or?
I am a junior here at USF, double majoring in marketing and management. I'm the senior vice president of a professional business fraternity on campus, and I am part of the corporate mentor program.
Let me ask you, how are you guys mainly communicating in, not necessarily in a personal setting, but in a formal either business or academic setting? What's
Email?
email? Still?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A big way that my fraternity actually put their contact is through a mobile app called GroupMe, and We just instantly message each other.
So it's a
Yeah.
forum.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to hear. That's really what I've been doing with my businesses, is I've, and Jenny's my assistant, she may come up and say a few words, but we've been able to create silos using these forums. So whether it's a deal in Brazil, I didn't really want to show you guys any of that stuff anyway, so I'm glad. It was just a blank screen at this point. But we set up these silos, and they're silos only in that we organize information through silos, but then there's cross-pollination that can take place at the right times. And I'll give you a perfect example. One of the directions that we're moving in for BuzzMe is to merge with, I don't know if anybody's seen these ad television networks that are out there now. Well, what an ad television network, and this is a kind of a new business that you guys may see more and more. We're seeing a lot of growth in the food and beverage space, where companies are going in and they're providing the audio-visual equipment, mainly televisions, flat-screen televisions, and then they're pushing their own content to those televisions, thereby hijacking the local marketing budgets and basically circumventing the national advertisers, right, that would advertise through. And imagine how much money is being spent for, like, for example, the Super Bowl that's coming up, right? Well, all these people who are in these bars, right, they're expecting to see these Super Bowl commercials. Well, that people have paid a ton of money for, but now, coupled with those commercials that everybody wants to see, and this you know, the fact that you have now a captive audience, you're also going to see televisions that are from outside coming in, or who knows, in some cases the entire AV system may be dominated by one company that as soon as a commercial comes on, they can hit a button and their own content gets driven to televisions. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into my bars late night and seen some Jazzercise commercial or something. You know, we're not taking advantage of the real estate that's there, right? We're not giving the consumer relevant content. He doesn't want a Jazzercise machine or program, and if he's sitting at World of Beer, he probably wants a beer, right? So what we're working to do with BuzzMe is merge with this type of company so that we can, first of all, inherit a larger network, and secondly, we can start pushing relevant content to consumers and have them instantaneously be able to transact based on the information that they're getting. So I'm developing a new concept, bar-restaurant concept, that hopefully you'll see coming to the marketplace this year. And I'll give you the sneak preview. It's called Reset. And what it is, it uses, we're going to have vintage video games, physical games, and a great menu, and great music. And it's going to be an atmosphere. Anybody from Houston or Texas, or anybody spend any time there, or Denver, or
Atlanta.
Texas? Have you ever heard of a concept called Kung Fu Saloon?
No.
No? It's an interesting bar concept. In Texas, just to give you guys a little bit of background, you're taxed on liquor sales. So you get full transparency into all the competition's numbers, which is great. Because when you're developing bars, you can go through and you can look at a data set, and you can see where the sales are the highest, and then start your due diligence there, right? You can start looking at markets where you're already seeing liquor sales. Well, in doing that, we stumbled across a concept called Kung Fu Saloon, and we were wondering, it was an outlier. They're generating close to $450,000 a month in revenue, in sales. And I have to admit, I don't have a World of Beer in the system that can do that. So obviously, I was very curious to see what they were doing. And when I got there, I found that there was retention because of the physical games that they had there. But when you start coupling that kind of environment with the ability to push live content to people,